I think that there is a place for faith in the workplace. Not always, but in some particular places. I mean, you can bring your beliefs from your religion into work.
Well, there is, but it shouldn't get involved in the work.
So you're a cashier and you have nothing to do. If you want, you could pull out your Bible and read. Like, I wish I could do that sometimes instead of just standing there playing with my thumbs.
I work in the military, so, you know, as long as you have religion in your life, then, you know, you always keep your head straight.
I guess to a degree, but as long as they're not like forcing it on other people.
Privately, yes, but as far as like trying to promote your faith to others in the workplace, I don't think that's something that should be done.
It's good to have your faith, but you know, it's just like the United States government has its separation of church and state. You know, you want to maintain that also in the work environment to some degree.
Well, I'm not very religious myself, but I think that there's place for a person's faith anywhere. Like, they can pray to themselves silently. They don't have to make it all big in public.
I feel like you can, if you have like faith on something, that you can express anywhere. I personally think that having like your culture in the workplace is important. Always learning different kind of customs and values, and it just keeps the diversity up.
Yeah, I believe there's faith for any place in the workplace. It don't really, you don't have to be like right there every time. I'm so religious, but faith can influence the workplace in a way that's it could make them work better, more efficient. They'll have more care. They will actually talk to people more and have a more connection with people.
Have you had an after-school job?
Or maybe a summer job?
Perhaps it's babysitting, lawn work, serving ice cream down the shore, or working at the neighborhood pharmacy.
Although we may not always love our jobs, work is essentially a good thing.
There is dignity and meaning in our work.
And how we can bring our faith into the workplace, even if it's watching kids, waiting on tables, or bagging groceries.
This means there is an opportunity to be witnesses of Christ and His church in the real world.
Faith in the workplace. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolee.
And I'm Justin.
And this is Real Faith TV.
The teens on the street all shared their views on the place faith has had in their workplaces.
We'll talk with them more in a few minutes, as well as meet our studio guests.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Sean O'Hare, a green energy entrepreneur and motivational speaker.
He'll share with us how it's possible to incorporate your faith into your workplace, no matter what your job is.
You know, you bring your faith wherever you go, so bringing it into the workplace was natural, but it took some time to kind of learn how to do that. We believe that kind of the workplace is a secular environment automatically, and we shouldn't talk about faith, and we shouldn't allow that to enter in. The reality is that, you know, when you think about the workplace, you're spending so many hours a week with other people. They're going to start to get to know who you are, and your faith is going to start to show through, particularly if you're practicing the virtues that we espouse in our faith. For example, if you made daily mass a part of your regular life, they might wonder, where do you go for lunch every day? Or I notice you come in early, or I can never reach you between these hours. Where are you? And you can just casually say, oh, I try to go to mass every day. And well, what's that? What's mass? Or why do you do that? You don't need to preach necessarily, because it'll come out through your actions. They'll know that you're a Christian by the way that you behave. And there are little opportunities every day in the workplace to go one way or the other. You can screw up on your job, and you can figure out a way to hide it in small ways or in big ways. You end up having a fairly teachable moment for other people. When you screw up, admitting to it early. If you go to your boss and say, listen, here's what happened. I tried my best on this, but I made a mistake. Here's how I'm going to go about fixing it. 9 times out of 10, you end up scoring more points for doing that.
I really like how he's not afraid to share his faith, and he's right forward with his views.
Yeah, I really admire that.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what our studio guests have to say about this topic.
Okay, they are Allie, Justin, Alina, Leanne, Caitlin, Rachel, and Sarah.
So what is the connection between work and faith for you?
I have a job, I'm a cashier, and it's really easy to bring your faith into my job. I find that it's a very diverse community. So there's all different kinds of religions, and everyone's really open, and they're able to accept what you believe in.
I help out with little kids sometimes at our swim club, and I treat them with respect. I listen to what they have to say, and you kind of use the teachings that you've been brought up with, and you apply that to your job.
I feel that work and your faith should go together, because you shouldn't let your work overtake who you are and make you do things that you wouldn't when you're not working.
God desired for work to be part of human life.
Even before the fall in the Garden of Eden.
God commanded Adam and Eve to subdue the earth.
So if God desires us to earn a living, what can faithful people bring to their work environment?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
If you have faith, I guess that's like you have something to believe in. So when you have something to believe in, it's automatically more motivation for you to do better at whatever it is that you're trying to do in life.
Faith is just very strong to some people, and when you have that background, it'll give you some confidence in the workplace.
If you have faith in God and you live with the right path, then you have a better mindset. You think more clearly. You don't think negative. You know, you go to work being happy.
It could give them a sense of belief and something that drives them to do the right thing in work.
Just talk to them more nicely, give them respect, try to join them in with the conversation.
They can like pray, like if they're a cop, they can pray that they don't get into an accident.
Integrity and motivation, yes. Faith will maintain like the utmost integrity.
How do you bring your Catholic faith to your work experience?
I babysit mostly my cousins, but I take my cousins to Mass with me, and they like to sing there, and they actually enjoy like the stories and like reading from the book.
I try to bring all my beliefs and morals that I have that I've been like taught throughout my education in Catholic school to my work, because I find that like at work you might see like something else going on, like you could see someone stealing or something like that. That's not really good, and you're like, what do I do? Do I like tell someone or not? And most of the time, like I just like go up to them and like I'll like say something, or you have to like go and tell a manager. I mean, it's really hard to like tell someone that like they're doing the wrong thing, because it's like you don't want to seem like bad, but at the same time you have to, because like that's how you were brought up.
Yeah, I don't have any paying jobs yet, but I do participate in volunteer work. So, for example, when we're at confirmation retreats, we have small group, and I make sure that I'm true with myself and make them feel comfortable, because it's all about respecting them so that they feel comfortable with you.
I completely agree. You have to be true to yourself and true to your faith in like any work environment.
I can speak for my sister and I, that we're performers. So when it comes to songs and writing, we always try to portray like a good message.
A lot of people say that it's harder when you're younger for people to take you serious about showing your religion through your music. But, me and my brother, we still stick with it, and, we don't let anybody tell us that we can't.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, because I'm really into like Christian rock music. They're staying true to what they believe, and I really admire that, because that's really hard to do. When I find a job, that's what I want to look up to, and that's what I want to do.
In the beginning of the 20th century, St. Jose Maria Escriva was inspired by God to start a movement of men, women, priests, and religious called Opus Dei, which means the work of God.
He constantly spoke about how we are called to evangelize and witness through our ordinary experiences and circumstances.
He wrote, "Sanctifying one's work means working in the Spirit of Jesus Christ.
Doing one's work well and finishing it off to give glory to God and serve others.
And so help sanctify the world by bringing the spirit of the gospel into all human activities."
Let's go back to Sean, where he'll talk to us about his experience as a teenager in different work settings.
And how he employed many of the virtues of Catholic faith in his various responsibilities.
Faith was certainly an element of my work as a teenager. Having the opportunity to work in a rectory at a young age was a great opportunity. There we really got to see, there was work to be done, but of course faith was right there with us. It was an interesting experience, because you had things that needed to be done. There's paperwork, and there was sending out mailings and making sure that this or that, the other got done. But then you'd also have maybe a poor person come to the door and in need of some serious help. And so we'd have to figure out, all right, we need to get them to a shelter, we need to give them some help. Or you might have somebody who's really going through a tough time. I can remember, a woman who was going through a crisis pregnancy, and she just showed up to the door crying. And I was too young to really understand exactly what was going on, but I, of course, called one of the priests, and he helped her through the situation and figured out how to get her into a safe environment. It was a different workplace experience for sure. And then I also worked at a company that was founded by a very good Catholic businessman. They were very open to people sharing their faith and being willing to talk about it. In fact, we kind of had to reel it back, because there were so many good Christian and Catholic people there that they wanted to make sure that we didn't make the non-Christian, non-Catholic people feel uncomfortable. I recognize that a lot of the virtues and a lot of the disciplines that you're taught in your faith were benefits to me in the workplace, whether it be patience or prudence particularly. Those are things that I had the opportunity to live out on a regular basis. And then you get the temptations. You'll have coworkers that maybe want to share things with you shouldn't be sharing. The opportunities for growth are everywhere. You can become a better person or you can become a not so good person, how you decide to react to things. Your parents aren't there, even your peer group's not there, your church certainly isn't there. So now it's time to find out, what do you really believe when nobody's looking?
Is it always easy to live out Catholic virtues in your workplace?
Being a cashier, it's sometimes hard because you get people that come through your line and you're like, I just want to yell at them, but you can't because you just have to like keep calm and be like, you just have to like look back to your faith, so, like keep it cool.
I'm a babysitter and I babysit these 4 kids and they're like young. Like I think the oldest is like 9. So like if I would try and like pray before like whatever meal I was there for, like I would feel awkward because they just like looked at me and they were so confused. So I think it would be difficult, but I always look back to my faith and like I have God help me through it.
I actually once was babysitting these 3 kids and they were all boys and they go to my church. And one of the boys, he's the oldest one, he told me that his younger brother was outside and that he was hurt. So I ran outside to see him, but he shut the door and he locked me outside. And so at that given moment, I had to like choose whether or not I was gonna call the mom for help or I was just gonna try to figure it out myself. So I kind of, you know, listened to God, listened to what I thought I should do, and I called the mom, and she wasn't surprised because apparently he'd done it to babysitters before.
My parents always tell me that school is my #1 job. And I feel like in school there's definitely a lot of temptations. I think one of the big ones is cheating. I know that I was taking a test in a class once and this girl was like, oh, sit next to me and we'll look off each other's papers. And I totally didn't feel comfortable with that because that's not one of the things that I was brought up to do. I never cheated before and I wasn't gonna start then. So of course I kind of hid my paper and I dealt with the situation at that time, but I feel like that could definitely be an issue in a workplace, and especially with babysitting, like you were saying, it's like the parents have so much trust in you that you feel like if you don't do a good job, you're kind of letting them down and yourself down. So it's really hard. You gotta like kind of handle the situations as they come and ask for God's strength as the situations kind of come up.
Through my babysitting, I've realized that it's not exactly like hard to show your faith. One situation where I had to bring my faith in was when like they knocked something over while I was babysitting, and I just wanted to get like really angry, like, oh my gosh, why did you do that? You should have been like sitting down doing what you were supposed to. But instead I like took a breath, I handled it like the right way, and I told my mom when it broke since it was at my house, and she was like, thank you for telling me, and I really like thanked God for giving me like the patience with the kids, and we ended up just fixing the problem without anyone getting yelled at or hurt.
As Francis Fernandez, author of In Conversation with God, wrote,
The Christian brings something new to his work. He does it for God.
He presents it to him as a daily offering that will have eternal value.
But the qualities it has are those of any honest work. It will be responsible, competent, hard work.
A job done in this way dignifies the one who does it and gives glory to his creator.
Next, we ask the teens on the street, what are some ways we can integrate faith in our workplace without pushing our faith on others?
Let's hear them now.
Be courteous to others, and they'll see, hey, you know, I see how he's doing things, you know, and just tell them, you know, how your religion is. You ain't got to force it on them, just show by example.
Encouraging people. You know what I mean? If someone's having a bad day, lifting them up.
Having simple reminders of what your faith is. For instance, if someone was a Christian, they wore a cross, that's a great way of just kind of saying that, you know, I'm proud to be a Christian, I'm proud to be here and representing my religion, but at the same time, I don't want to force my beliefs on to others.
You can invite somebody to your church, they could come there and worship with you 1 or 2 times. It don't have to be constant, just to be more friendly and have a better relationship with your co-workers.
One of my best friends, she definitely practiced faith, and it just teaches you that you need to be kind to others and always be patient. Just think about others before you think about yourself. Don't be selfish, and definitely think about the goal that needs to be accomplished as opposed to your own personal goals.
How can practicing the spiritual values of our faith help to improve your work environment?
It'll keep positive morals and a positive outlook on life, and that'll help everyone around you be positive.
It keeps a positive environment and keeps everyone happy.
It'll just bring around a better vibe just to everybody, and it'll like hopefully like rub off on someone to believe in anything, in something, to just get them through.
It brings you more inner peace or something like that, and you're more relaxed, you're easier to work with others.
It keeps you reminded every day how you should live life, how, you know, God would want you to live life.
If you're a very good spiritual person, you know what you're doing. If it's wrong, you're not going to try to do that. But if it's right, you try to do that more, and people see the difference in you, And then the more they see the difference in you, they'll try to follow your footstep, like follow your direction and see what you're doing. And then that way everything works out better for everybody else. And they will have a more productive work environment.
How do you bring God into your conversation with the coworkers and friends?
Well, I really liked what one of the teens said when he said, I show by example. I'm like a volunteer swim coach. Sometimes kids just need that little boost of confidence to get them going. And they look up to us, and we have to kind of give them that confidence so that they can do their best.
By like doing the right thing in your work environment every day and then looking up to you and like seeing like what you're doing and being a role model, I feel like that's a way that like you can kind of bring faith into like, not even like really a conversation, but just into like your daily work environment.
What I would like to be able to do is like build up my trust with like coworkers so that they can like confide in me if they're having problems, and then just saying to them something as simple as like, I'll pray for you, so that they know that you're there for them and that you're gonna help them whatever way you can.
Exactly. Like one time at work, I had a situation with one of my really good friends who there was something going on with her family and she didn't know what to do. So she came to me, and like I wasn't really sure what to tell her at first, but I mean, I went back to my faith and everything, and I talked to her and I told her that like if there's anything she ever needed, and like I would pray for her and keep her family and like my prayers and stuff. So and that, I mean, that made her feel like a little bit better, and it turns out that like everything was okay. So I mean, I felt like even though I really couldn't do much, that like still turning to my faith and praying for her like helped a lot.
As I said earlier, I'm a performer and I get paid for doing shows and stuff. And so sometimes if I see like, you know, one of my friends are down, or, you know, I'll dedicate a song to them, like cheer them up, make them smile, and you know, at the end of the show, they'll be like, oh, thank you, you know, it made my day. That's part of being a Catholic, is to build someone up. It's a way of, for me, just to help build other people up by through song.
Like I said, I'm a babysitter, and there's 4 kids and there's only 1 girl. And like, she just comes to me and she just starts talking to me about like anything that's going on. So like, I'm always there for her and all, so I feel like she can come to me for anything, and she can trust in me.
We are connected to people through our work, school, that may never set foot in a church.
As co-workers and friends, we can speak and witness to them of the reality and power of the Catholic faith.
In fact, our spotlight guest, Sean O'Hare, talks to us next about how the casual conversation turned into a path of conversion for a client.
Let's hear a story now.
I owned a construction company for about 7 years, and we were doing a renovation, and the client was somebody I had been referred to. Her name was Stacy, and one of our project manager at the time was actually a former seminarian. He would talk about his faith every now and then, and over time Stacy would ask questions, and it turned out that she was really looking for something. She had been involved in kind of evangelical community but wasn't feeling fulfilled, and I would take her out to lunch as a client to kind of make, you know, tell her what's going on with the job, make sure she was happy and that sort of thing. And it went from us talking about work to talking about faith. And over time, all of our conversations became about the faith. So I started giving her books to read. So she was very excited. And a couple months later, she said, I have something to tell you. I want to enter the church. I want to become Catholic. She asked if I would be willing to be her sponsor. And so that was a great honor. And it was, you know, a beautiful thing to see somebody through our workplace. You know, that was an opportunity for faith and for her to find Catholicism. I mean, she was seeking it, so she would have found it at some point. We just happened to be an instrument at that time. You don't know when these things are the opportunities are gonna be there. And so you need to be living your faith at all times.
While work has a tradition in the church, it's not enough to just have a job.
We are encouraged to do it at the best of our ability.
This often requires virtue.
This means working for the hours we are paid and not distracting ourselves with text messages and Facebook posts.
We must be honest and responsible, doing our tasks to the best of our abilities and not halfway.
We must remind ourselves that our work is something we offer up to God.
Next, we ask the teens on the street how they put elements of their faith into action at their work.
Let's check it out.
I always put elements of my faith into action at work. I'm constantly doing good deeds and making sure I'm just as positive and religious as possible without totally trying to persuade people into changing their religion.
I'm not very faithful, so I just put my natural attributes into my work.
I'm in the Air Force and everything. I just thank God every day that, you know, I got the chance to do something with my life. And then I just use that as I got to keep, you know, today's going to be a better day. I got to do what needs to be done.
When I'm at karate or like where I work, I like pray that nobody gets hurt and stuff.
The morals that faith teaches you can definitely be put into the workplace. You know, the patience, being kind to others. If if you don't take the lessons that your religion teaches you, you're really missing out on your religion. So yeah, you definitely have to incorporate that into your work.
I try to teach, the values that I know to other people, and, just try to, make sure they're, doing the right thing all the time, just like I'm trying to do the right thing all the time. And you're just making sure, things like people are being respectful, people are caring about each other.
I'm definitely fair with the people that I work with, not judging others, patient kindness, just always being a better person and trying to do what's right.
You gotta be nice to people. Even if they're mean to you, you gotta be nice to them, try to bring everybody together, unity pretty much, that's what it's all about.
I like what one of the people said. They said that you need to bring being fair into it, and when I'm babysitting, I have to be fair to the children and like give them the respect and attention that they deserve, which I can find challenging sometimes by like not texting and Facebook messaging people when it's right there. I can't even like be like, hey, I'm babysitting, I can't talk now, because that's taking away from that.
I think it's so hard also when I'm on register sometimes and you see someone at the register next to you and they're like texting like in their drawer, even though like we're not allowed to, and then I hear like my phone go off and then it's like, you have one new message from, and it's just like, it's so hard not to like take it, but you want to be fair to like the customers, and you're not supposed to be doing that at work, and you want to really put your all into like everything you're doing.
So for you, it's kind of like doing the right thing even when no one's watching.
Exactly.
When I'm babysitting, my phone's just like always going off and it's always in my pocket, so I'm just like sitting there. The parents always go out late and all, so like I put the kids to bed, and like when I'm positive that they're all asleep and like everything's done, then I can look at my phone and like answer everybody back, even though it's like 3 hours later. The elements of faith in that are putting other people first and like patience and all.
I definitely bring patience with me to my volunteer work, because like I said before, there's always somebody who's not open to the confirmation retreats, and I actually had a whole group of about like 6 boys who were just not into it at all. I tell them a personal story about my life in the hopes that they would feel comfortable with me. I'm there for them. By the end of it, I got one person to talk a little bit, not the whole group though, and when they left, I just made sure to pray for them so that they could be open to God.
Prayer can even guide us in leading others towards Christ and making the right decisions in our job.
Finally, Sean shares how prayer is essential in readying ourselves for whatever work we do.
And how it is important for him to seek the right balance between his life and his work.
Prayer is an excellent way to provide the right disposition for the workplace. It makes us ready for whatever may come our way. A lot of times we get too reliant on ourselves, and that's really the balance we need to seek. My brother, who's a Catholic priest, a missionary down in the Dominican Republic, is always fond of reminding me of a great quote, which is, work as if everything depends on you, pray as if everything depends on God. We need to have both. We need to be stewards and work very diligently, but recognize that we're still nowhere without God. As somebody who's owned his own business, I have to kind of go with where the business takes me sometimes. So I don't have the luxury of saying, well, I'm a 9-to-5 guy and that's it. Work late, work early, work weekends, whatever it takes to kind of get things done. But I've got to still find a way to make sure that prayer is part of it. My business partner and I talk about it a lot. We make sure that we are looking out for each other's souls as much as we're looking out for the bottom line. He's got a beautiful family, a wife and kids, and we try to make sure that he gets home for dinner and that he can have that time with his family. I try to be as mindful of his needs as a family man as I would be for his needs as a business partner. We try to seek the right life-work balance for each other. Sometimes you just believe the solution's got to be more work. Just got to work harder. And sometimes that's not the solution. Sometimes it's more time with family. Sometimes it's more time for reflection. Because if we have a successful business, but we lose our souls in the process, it's not worth it.
How can a relationship with God help us to find the right balance of work in school and having a life?
God's like the main thing within all 3, so that like God helps you get through each one individually.
That's so true, because it's so crazy sometimes when you have work, you have your friends, you have school, and you have your family, and it was just getting so stressful to the point where I had no idea what to do. So turning to God and having God like there and knowing that I can like talk to him really helped to like take all the stress and pressure off of me and realize like what I need to make time for and what's really important in my life.
Sometimes it's hard, especially with babysitting. Like, I remember this one time I made plans with some of my friends from youth group to go out to dinner, and then I got a text message from one of the people I babysit for. She's like, oh, could you come the same night that I made the plans? And so it's really difficult, especially those times. You definitely need to look to God for that, because like you said, it's important to have a balance, and you want to keep that. So maybe like one time you say, oh, you can't make the job, and then the other time you take the job. So I think the whole thing in finding balance is looking towards God, and he'll kind of lead you in the right direction. He won't give you the answer like straight out, but he'll definitely drop like hints and clues.
Exactly. That's happened to me so many times where someone has called out of work or something has happened, and if I had plans that night or something, I wasn't sure what to do, and I was kind of stuck because I felt bad saying no to them because they needed someone, but I also felt bad bailing on my friends because work kind of got in the way of that too, so I really didn't get to see them that much during the school year. So it really was tough. So I feel like looking to God and like having a balance and sometimes saying no to work or no to friends, it all like eventually works out in the end.
As teenagers, a job enables us to take on real responsibilities and put some money in our pocket.
However, it's important to understand that our work life is just a part of life God calls us to live.
Spending too many hours at the job can result in our grades slipping or missing mass on the weekends. If we look to our faith for guidance, it's easier to make decisions about the way we work and how much we work.
Finding that healthy balance keeps us focused on our long-term goals and career objectives.
But more importantly, it keeps us on the path God has laid out for us.
The path towards salvation in our Lord Jesus Christ.
So how has your faith made you a better worker?
We'd love to hear from you.
Contact us at realfaithtv.com.
Or share your thoughts with us on Twitter.
And we'll leave you today with this prayer as we join hands.
Jesus, help us be the light in the darkness in the way we live out our faith.
Let faith be part of who we are in daily life, not just something we do on Sundays.
Help us to be good workers who are diligent and virtuous.
Send opportunities for us to witness to our coworkers.
Give us the words to speak when we are called to defend our faith.
Most of all, let love permeate all of our actions so that others may see you.
We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on Real Faith TV.
God bless.